आप किलोमीटर के साथ 420 आपकी परमिशन लेने में कैसे मैम ने बोला पहले मैम का मैसेज है कितना आपका मैंने मेंशन किया उसमें he said 60 जी सर बैठो ना बैठो मैम आप पेपर दे देंगे तो मैं और मुझे लगता है वो इवैल्यूएशन और वाइवा दोनों का ही मीडियम है
Welcome to Dr. Rajiv Panda from University of Kerala and Dr. Ashutosh Mohan from BHU. We are having to the viva on delegate note. Dr. Ashutosh is here with us, and a scholar was to come, but she is suffering from conjunctivitis. So today she couldn't be present. She also has joined. So again, once again, I welcome all of you, Dr. Aryan sir and all the faculty members. With your permission, I ask Jaya to start her presentation.
Yes, sir. Yeah, ma'am, you can.
Yes. Jaya, your presentation should be for 40 minutes.
Okay, ma'am.
Yes, you start.
A very good afternoon to all the esteemed faculty members present here, my examiners, and the participants who have taken out time for this valuable day in my life. I am here to give my presentation on my final viva voce on my PhD thesis, Influence of Internet and Social Media on Online Purchase Decision Among Teenagers. This has been a very long journey for me, and I've tried my level best to encapsulate everything. I think my screen is not moving. I'm trying to share it, but I can't move to the second slide. Is there any technical glitch? Yeah, now it's better. So talking about me and my research journey, I am a PGDM from Xavier's Institute, Ranchi, worked 10 years in academics plus having 7 years of real estate experience as a senior marketing manager. I came across this journey of internet and influence of media and social media when it was in its uprising state in year 2014. It was then when I took admission, and then after my PhD journey started here in ICFI. I would start with the action taken report, which after was given to me once the examiners had given me their inputs. There were a number of headings under which changes were done in comprising of chapter 1 in introduction, where restructuring of certain sentences were there. There was a number of changes that were brought in the paragraphs. And I have mentioned here page-wise where all the changes have been done and how have they been executed. Mostly changes were made in the literature review, where I was asked by my examiners to make more appropriate input in terms of the recent things and events that have taken place in this arena of consumer insight. And I've tried my level best of including at least 8 to 10 journals which are backing up from 2017 to 2023, mostly comprising of the Western as well as the Indian context. Again, the research methodology was dealt in depth, and there was queries regarding the sampling and how the population proportion have been taken care, which I've tried to justify in my thesis. Going ahead, data analysis. There was certain deletion which I had not included, like the Tukey's HST test, which I had initially thought of, but then I had dropped it away. And yes, results and discussions in lines of the journals that have been referred later stage, referring from 2019 to 22, have been considered. Now, why this topic? Internet and social media is like bread and butter these days. It's with everybody, on everywhere, on everyone's plate now. Teenagers are the most thoughtful line of consumers who have entered this market, and they have been deliberately, or we can say in with phases, like the internet and social media have increased in decades. The Gen Z, which I am dealing with, the teenagers aging from 13 to 19, which is the Gen Z currently, which is also called as cyber teens by the famous authors now, are being dealt with. So I would like to give a short timeline of the internet, how internet was born. Everybody knows 69, 77, the email takes in 96, the first time internet is on the mobile. By the time it is 2000, the e-commerce, e-books, e-auction begins its functioning. 2004, Gmail launches, 5, YouTube is launched. And then there is a steep rise of social networking sites. There are blogs, there are a number of facets associated with the social media that come up. And in the recent decade, say 2011 to 2022-23, we see AI coming in and taking a part in this journey. So Indian teenagers have been very lucrative market for the marketing firms across the world, because we know that India is a growing, budding place for the youth and has the highest population currently, even above China right now, as quoted rightly in Times of India, dated 2022, that India has become the first emerging youth market. So teenagers are a big market in India, and a quarter of youngsters spend a part of their spendings in a number of items, which have been mostly into fashion apparels, in mobiles, in footwear, in personal, in electronic gadgets. Coming in play, gender. Once there has been a segregation of products, how gender plays an important role in purchase decision among teenagers. Pocket money allowances have been high in comparison to our generation. The Gen Z is definitely on a higher note, because the income of their parents in relation is on a higher side. So their purchasing power has also comparatively increased. And this is from the representation that I have taken in is from the Outlook Business Magazine, dated 2007. Okay, so as I mentioned earlier, that the world's largest population, youth population, is the Indian teenagers. Again, teenagers, why I am concentrating more on it? Because during my journey, I realized that the Western studies and Indian context have always taken up a part of the age group, like starting from 8 till 24. The concentration has been less on the teenagers. So I made it a point that I focus completely on the teens. Again, we all know that India has been low in internet percentage penetration compared to US and China, as per the statistics data. But nevertheless, the youth have been motivated through marketing companies to use variety of gadgets and gizmos and enter into this online world of shopping, or as we can say, having a effect of purchase and decision into their family has also been bought up, because these marketing companies have tried to play with the teenagers and promoting them and providing them with such instincts. This is a small graph which shows how the Gen Z and the millennials, that is, we can say us, doing with social media. So what is the Gen Z doing on the social media and what we millennials have been doing? So we can very well see that watching out video content is one of the fascination of Gen Z. Playing games is another. Highest goes to checking feeds, then messaging each others. So in every aspect, we can see that Gen Z is definitely on a higher note than we, the millennials. Basic concept of my thesis comes from the consumer socialization background of marketing, which clearly, as mentioned by Ward, says that it is a process by which young people acquire skills, knowledge, and attitude relevant to their functioning as consumers in a marketplace. Okay, so this has been a very we can say not an ancient thing, but yes, definitely something that has been in the marketing arena for now quite a long time, that if a consumer is provided a set of skills, knowledge, you can try to convert and adapt them with the cognitive, affective, and behavioral attitude and push them towards becoming a consumer. So on basis of these these lines, who are the teenagers? We say teenagers, as we all know, that are group of people who belong to age group of 13 to 19. What is the particular characteristics? That they are independent of their parents, they are more to their peers. Independence of parents in order to identify the self-image. There is always an importance of group, sharing interest, importance of social activity is quite high among them. And social acceptance is more through appearance and materialistic things. They are like a trend followers and a trend setters. So this is a very different aspect of teenagers. And I have been very specific of getting into teenagers of Patna and Ranchi. As I go ahead, I would be explaining how. Again, influenced by brand names, entertainment, trendy products, teens are considered shopping as an experience. If they like something, they'll go ahead with it. Otherwise, they will hold themselves there itself. So more responsibility is now being given up to them. Even in the family arena.
Can I come in here?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Because this is a defense seminar, and most of these like definition and concepts has already been spoken in the registration time or in enrollment time. The defense seminar should focus more on your data, your findings,
okay,
all those things. We do not need to repeat things, just very fundamental.
Okay. Okay, sir. We'll take your advice. Going ahead. The cognitive development theory, as I mentioned, is the basis of the theory wherein we show in how at each level children are being pushed in for a consumer buying process. This forms again the basis stages of online consumer buying decision, wherein web experience, marketing inputs, environmental forces are taking place for the online consumers. Lifestyle segmentations are there based on how they are motivated socially. Literature review have tried to cover as much as possible, which involves broad topics of teenager and socialization, consumer socialization, how young consumers and their market segmentations are taking place. Product involvement and entertainment has been considered along with product categories. Some famous reviews of literature starting from Gariwal and Stephens 2019, the latest one being how mobile devices have made it easier for the consumer and the teenagers. Going ahead, no single socialization theory, it says, can currently depict complex consumer behaviors. And it is very famously said that if in the physical world 6 friends are unhappy, in the internet world, there are 6,000 friends who will be unhappy. So how the internet and social media space takes place, we can see. While going through, I was very skeptical, and I have found certain research gaps. How Gen Z, being the biggest influencer and avid followers, the demographic variable studies, the age, the gender, the annual income of the parents have been studied less in the developmental stage of the teenagers in Indian context. More focus has been there on the adolescents. When I say adolescent, I mean the most of the literatures are taking up age group up to 24. Again, the review of literature, which comprises of the early age related stage development and socio-cultural context in the Northeast Indian states like the Bihar, not exactly Northeast, I should be appropriately saying East India, not Northeast. I would like to correct myself here, especially in states like Bihar, Jharkhand. Internet and social media on Gen Z of this region has been studied very less. Plus, the target population are of Gen Z, which we say 13 to 19, are comprising of the school going students mostly, which I have tried to cover, because it's a mix and match population of both school and college going students who directly enter in this stream even during the college time. Plus, the first research gap that was identified was among the school going students in the East zone. Accordingly, the hypothesis has been framed that there is no significant difference in the frequency of usage of social media for purchase decision across age. Second, influence of internet and social media on teenagers at various stages of teenager buying decision has been studied less, as I mentioned. The consumer buying process is studied at various level. Analysis help us to identify that stage. Hence comes in the play of second hypothesis, which was created. Attention-seeking methods of social networking sites has no significant effect on purchase decision across age. Going further, to identify the effect of gender on teenagers, online preferences, namely variety of product, anytime, anywhere shopping, ease of price comparison, discount, ease of payment, ease of return exchange was there. Then comes in the third hypothesis. There is no significant effect of gender, which has been in line with these online preferences purchase decisions. There is no significant effect of gender on teenagers' valid reason for online purchase decision. Place is again has no varying effect on purchase decision and will depend on the role of social media on purchase decision of teenagers online. This was the conceptual study framework which was taken up, comprising of demographic profile of teenagers, the dependent variables, age, gender, place, the economic profile of the teenagers, how the parental influence, pocket money allowances that are they being receiving, are that affecting the purchase decisions? The attention-seeking method of social networking site, are they affecting the purchase decision? And what exactly is the role of social media, internet at different stages of purchase intentions of the teenagers? So these were the research questions that came during my journey. What is the role of internet and social media on purchase decision intentions of teens? How does age affect teenagers in purchase decision? How does gender impact the teenagers' decision process? What is the impact of various social networking sites and platforms on teenage purchase decision? Which products are mostly purchased by teenagers using various social media platforms? Accordingly, research objectives are put in line. As I mentioned before also, I'll just be scrolling through. This is a small conclusive way of showing how the hypothesis has been linked to the objective and what all tests have I taken in respect to the hypothesis and the objective. There has been both parametric and non-parametric tests that have been considered, and percentage analysis and mean score analysis has also been performed. So the main thing is how the who are my target respondents. So it was the school-going students of ages 13 and 19 from the city of Patna and Ranchi, which were taken up. The schools have been very, we can say, through these websites, I have been able to narrow them down to 5 in each center. That is a total of 10 schools were taken up. 5 in Patna, 5 in Ranchi, and I have not distributed it zonally. I have taken a random cluster of it. So, and the size of my student structure here is from the popular sites that I have mentioned here, according to the computation that has been made. It approximately 3,70,400 students comprised in class 7 to 12. These are only the school going students who are under ICSE, CBSE only. I have not considered Bihar board. I have specifically seen CBSE and ICSE student as a mix. So sampling technique is the purposive sampling. I have taken up the purposive sampling in order to suffice the research question. That is, sampling involves a predetermined criteria. There was a predetermined criteria, as I earlier mentioned, that I am taking up the teenagers who have access through internet, through any device, and they should have access anytime and everywhere. The sample size calculation has been done according to the concurrence formula, where the population proportion correction was made according to the census which was there in 2011 last official census, which says that 30% of the population in Bihar and Jharkhand comprise of the Indian, comprises of the teenagers, 30%. So the population correction is 0.3 over here. The sample size comes to 323, but we distributed somewhere around 400 questionnaires. We received 337, out of which valid responses were 330. So my final sample was 330. So data collection, the questionnaire method was used, and it comprised of 3 parts. There was general question posed to the students. There was teenager involvement, how the teenagers are involved in the usage of internet and social media in depth. And again, the third part, which in the questionnaire, was influence of internet and social media role in the consumer decision-making process. How is their decision influencing their families, and what is their role in it? So that was taken up by the third part through certain questions. Again, these questions were administered completely personally by me. I visited these particular institutes both in Patna and Ranchi with the permission of the principals, and was able to take up and talk to the students. I was able to give them questionnaire and collect them personally back. So 337 here, which says that there were responses registered, but valid came up to 330. Moving ahead with the data analysis, we can see that how the age gap is there, age classification accordingly. Then we have the gender, try to make it almost 50-50 as per the response received. Although the male candidates I was able to fetch were a bit less than the female candidates. Excuse me. The family monthly income was computed. How the pocket money allowances vary. We can see here that 15% of the sample size has more than 2,000 rupees a month they are getting as pocket allowances. Again, this was yes, do you use internet, and now the demographic findings. What is the internet usage hour per week? And it was found to be very high among the teenagers of these regions, 40.60, as it mentions, 10 hours and above. Which was the best used mode? Again, it was the smartphones which took the place, followed by laptops, then desktops, iPads. Cybercafe takes the last space now. It's no more a Gen Z thing. Moving ahead, what was the main purpose of usage of internet? So most of them were into social media and networking, followed by online shopping, surfing, mail, chat. Product purchase decision for parents came the last, because teenagers are yet to be dependent by their parents for further high amount and large amount of investments that they want to make. Plus, this was a very fruitful outcome where I could see how teenagers still of Bihar and Jharkhand prefer parents as their influence while making any purchase decision. To make a final call, they first prefer parents, and still internet takes a second stand in these regions. Whereas there are studies in another regions of India itself which show that internet has taken up a high on parents. Again, these are analysis of the purchase decision behaviors of teenagers, which shows how parents are involved, mean being higher. Which website shows the maximum input is the Flipkart. Is it the blogs, Google, YouTube, Twitter, which has taken up with the Gen Z? It's the Google main search engine that stands first. Facebook has taken a back these days, and YouTube with its upcoming Reels stands second. Who are the main contributors, and how do these teenagers go ahead and do shopping online? Are they parents? Are they working elders, siblings? Yes, both their parents, elder working sibling, and the pocket allowances contributes the maximum in their making purchases online for their kind of products. Moving ahead, these were certain product categories which was sought out, which were the most preferred ones. We could see it were the mobile and accessories. The fashion accessories took the first position, thereafter the mobile accessories, and the other products went low. It was basically fashion wear and accessory and mobile accessory that teenagers were more interested in. This was how during the consumer decision process at each step, be it the need recognition, information search, alternative evaluation, purchase decision, how at every step teenagers have agreed that yes, social media is in fact a purchase decision. We are involved there, and how are they there? What do they prefer most? How do they go by? So do they take up the product and company page? So yes, that were 22% who said yes. 23.6 said that they use frequent ads of product as their ways to interact if they want to search more on the internet. Customer reviews takes 32.7%. Number of likes and shares were again visited by them by 21.5%. These were the preferential ranking that were done on the product online. And as I said earlier, fashion, wear, and accessory takes #1 position. Mobile and accessories takes second, and thereafter their fourth. Going ahead, this has been okay. So now coming up to the hypothesis. There is no significant difference in the frequency of usage of social media for purchase decision across age. This was computed through a crosstab method. And the results that were found out was evidently that teenagers of age of 13 and 14 have lesser frequency of using social media for purchase purpose, whereas compared to children above the age, say 15, 16, and 18, who seem to have a higher frequency of using social media, as the usage is high in count and frequency is seen from that in the data. So it is clear from the table that the Chi-square significance value P is less than 0.5. The null hypothesis is hence rejected. Thus, the result states that there exists significant relation between the age and frequency of usage of social media website for purchase purpose. Second, attention-seeking methods of social networking site has no significant effect on purchase decision across ages. Again, a cross-tabulation was made, and P is found to be less than 0.5. So we reject the null hypothesis. There exists significant relation between attention-seeking methods of social networking site and have significant effect on purchase behavior of teenagers across the age group. There is no significant hypothesis 3. There is no significant effect of gender on teenagers' valid reason for online purchase decision. Here, ANOVA was taken up, and we could find that P value is less than 0.5. Online shopping preferences like variety of product again has value 0.011. Place and convenience took a back. Ease of price comparisons again less. So further, we could conclude that significant difference exists between the means of two groups. Thus, we reject the null hypothesis and conclude that the difference between the means and significant difference does exist, and there is a significant effect of gender on teenagers' valid reason for online purchase decision. Place will have no significant effect on the purchase decision and will depend on role of social media or purchase decision. So here, how the percentage count has been done on the crosstab, and we could derive that the data provides sufficient evidence to reject of the null hypothesis, conclude that the place has significant effect on purchase decision and will not depend on social media for influence. Findings. The current study, in comparison to the literature review, there have been certain comparisons, and in line, some were in line, some were beyond that. So there exists a significant relation between age and frequency of usage of social media website for purchase decision purpose. As I said, that they are known as the cyber teens when we see the previous literatures. So the contribution, we could see that teenagers are an active participant and influencer, and they act as influencer for product of their interest and their for their followers on internet and social media. So teenagers are becoming an avid follower, but now becoming a trendsetter in these regions. Although the blogs are the least preferred for any product related or purchase related preference among teens of Ranchi and Patna, but in coming years, the trend in urban cities suggests that bloggers and influencers of products are a huge market for marketing company to tap on for pitching product for these young adolescents, as they are the future prospective buyers. So initially, in the previous literatures, we have found that bloggers, more of influencers, have not come into place, but my study slowly and gradually reflects that the bloggers and influencers are coming in, and they have become a crucial part of the marketing arena. Again, teenager consumers are more likely to be participant than watching. So they are no more just a buy watcher. They are completely involved in the process. They are taking all the feeds, be it the internet feed, from the social arena, from the family, their friends, and they are directly entering into the space in these regions. I'm being specific about Patna and Ranchi. Again, review sites, social networking platforms, it says that around 65% of the respondents use Google search, and most followed by YouTube Reels. So these were the certain more findings in the consumer buying decision process, which showed that during the need recognition, more than 35% of the surveyed consumer agreed to say that they were influenced by the reviews shared by their friends. So 50% of the consumers follow brand on internet, and 100 had their account in at least one of the social media handles. Popular among the teens of e-shopping in these regions of Bihar and Jharkhand. Around 67% of the teens said that their social networking was their primary purpose for usage of internet, followed by 42% used it for online for themselves, and 40% said that they use it with consent of their parents. So as I told earlier, that in these regions, parents still are there as number 1 influencers. During the information search questionnaires, 97.3% of teenagers stated that they use social media while searching information about both products, service, and brands. Again, evaluation of alternative also, 50%. First preference before alternative, they consult their parents, followed by internet. And then comes the post-purchase behavior. Only 10% of the consumer shared frequently their opinion to their friends on social media when they were satisfied by a product. So again, how gender impacts purchase decision. Girls, usually the most important objective of the study was to find the significant effect of age and gender. And as I said earlier, that the e-commerce website should launch more schemes. These are the theoretical implications that I am covering up now. The e-commerce websites do launch some schemes like Big Billion Days, the Amazon Big Festivals, which have huge and attractive offers, and they can affect them gender-wise. Practical implication includes the mode of payment, which is more easier for the teenagers, which is COD in nowadays, and UPI. In case of male counter, variety of products to look for major influencing factor. Gender seems thus to play a significant role in the degree of influence of social media at this stage. High use of smartphones are also makes this feature viable and easy for the male teens to shop anytime and anywhere. For the managerial implication, the literature review stated that the word of in 2008, Brown and Hayes stated that word of mouth was an important aspect to be taken into account by companies and marketers concerning the great power of influence of social media on consumer. Therefore, the study indicates that the marketer should be able to handle consumers' bad comments in order to turn them into their advantage. Certain recommendations from my side. Rise in the use of smartphones and high penetration of internet with digital transformation has led to rapid growth in online purchase of product and services. The e-commerce company should develop strategies for specific product to target teenagers that use internet for most purchases. Following factors that drive attention in social media for purchase of products, say the company page, the frequency of ads, number of likes, reviews by other products, followed by the frequent ads, should be considered in lines of the teenagers. The study indicates that marketers should identify the influencer and communicate with them. The study also highlighted the necessity for the marketers to be reactive and proactive. They should be able to respond more quickly to the needs. The internet penetration in urban areas have seen to be better when compared to rural areas of Bihar and Jharkhand till date. Thus, companies should try and tap these unexplored area also to increase their sales. Going further, the loyalty programs, the social networking companies and sponsorships are further there. The limitations of the study, there were certain limitations. The work has been done with the limitation of time and resource. The present study is based on the reliability of the primary data. The sample units were selected from population having multidimensional feature of a large group. As we know how this area of the East region is the emerging market space. The social media tools have developed leaps and bounds in the last decades, and thus Gen Z has upgraded themselves accordingly. Hence, my respondents were very much influenced only by the tools that they have explored. So they were influenced by these factors only. Research study has been analyzed and presented only quantitatively, and no qualitative analysis has been done. FMCG products and other high-tech end products can be covered in. There was a future scope for the research as well. Indian children confirm that the consumer socialization process, as I mentioned earlier, varies from age of 11 to 24. It can be dealt in depth in the Tier 2 city, and deeper researches can be done to find the factors influencing the decision of the teenager. Family structure is an emerging marketing setting. While going through my study, I could face it that the family structure and the cultural background are coming in, and how are they responsible in the affecting the teenagers' intentions while purchasing. So these were certain areas which I have covered with my analysis in the area of Bihar and Jharkhand. These were my publications that I made through my journey, during my journey of PhD. And I would like to rest my topic here. Thank you.
Yes. Yes. Was it audible to you, Jaya?
Yeah, I can hear you, sir.
There are some of the queries I raised in my report altogether.
Yes,
Try
sir.
to address these things. Before starting those queries and the related some of those issues, I would like to say that you did hard work in collecting that particular set of data, and that from the school-going children. You tried to address some of the queries which I mentioned in my report, but still there are certain confusion in my mind. And I hope you must take this as the beginning of your research journey, as I told earlier also. So this need to be either rectified or need to be taken care in the future. For example, you opted for chi-square test and ANOVA test simultaneously on the same data set. What was the rationale behind the same? Did you check the normality of data?
Yes, sir, the normality was checked, and I, while going through the test procedure, I'm not I wouldn't say that I'm a statistician or somebody because I'm a very general background person. But I could see it that yes, it's a larger group, larger sample that is being addressed. The population has a normal distribution, and we could go about and have a parametric as well as non-parametric test to be conducted on both the groups.
Take this particular aspect here. Population is good enough, but you are doing research with sample. And
Okay.
whether your sample is a representative unit and whether your data is collected representing the normal curve tendency, that is very crucial to decide what kind of analysis you are going to offer.
Yes,
So that is required, and take care about this particular aspect in your future research or whatever the research endeavors you are doing in future.
Yes, sir.
Another thing which I have some doubt, why you opted for two words in your title, internet and social media.
Yes. So
Both
in
are, seems to be same,
Right.
or what kind of differentiation you want to identify between these two worlds?
Okay, when I started, it was 2014, and internet was more on high and social media on low. While my PhD journey went ahead, social media came in more and internet had taken a back. Internet, because internet is like a whole universe comprising of small portions of social media, small portions of research engines, microblogs. So it was a mix and amalgamation of both, which I thought would go ahead and reap me certain, qualitative inputs. Because I was very enthusiastic when I started studying the literature reviews. My Delhi, Bombay, and Bangalore colleagues had a different outlook towards their teenagers. And what kind of feel I was getting by my questionnaire was absolutely different here. So I decided to include both and go ahead with it.
In fact, if you just think, internet is by and large a technology which is enabling these particular media vehicle assets to us.
Yes.
So social media is one component, and through this internet technology, you may have lot many other components.
Yes, sir.
Mentioning internet as a separate entity doesn't add value to your research.
Okay.
Because that is an essential element. Web 2.0 everyone is talking about. So Web 3 is also possible, or it might be here. So that is not required, but still you carried and you reach up to this point where it's very crucial and it's very, what to say? I don't know about the procedure, but fine enough. Take care about these things in the future. One more doubt comes in my mind related with your findings and your hypothesis. In terms of, you are saying that certain age group people, say 12 to 13 or 12 to 15, precisely you mentioned the teenagers of age 13 to 14 are having lesser frequency of using social media for purchase purpose in comparison to teenager of 15 to 18 years of age.
Yes, sir.
And you check this particular hypothesis also. Don't you think this age group classification in itself good enough to decide the purchase intention? When you are more or less dependent or more over dependent on your parent, your purchase decisions are guided by your parent. So the first group, 13 to 14, doesn't have the liberty to make their own purchase decision in comparison to 18 or 19 or so 15 to 18, something like this.
Yes,
So
sir.
some things are quite obvious.
Obvious.
Testing those things through data, good enough, but that will not add any value. Okay.
Okay, sir. Got it.
Otherwise, if I go by your literature review and finally at the end you try to validate the findings again with literature, it's a nice presentation, it's a nice articulation, and I wish you keep on your research journey in future also with lot of value addition.
Yes, sir.
Over to you, Dr. Rajiv.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you for your wonderful feedback. Most of the points I was also just thinking to give feedback on. My reviews and remarks have already been given to the scholar, and she has addressed those issues very meticulously. Beyond those feedbacks, there are certain points. I will start with the slide that is in front of us. That most of the journal that you have chosen is a non-index journal. So was that a conscious decision to choose that? You have not chosen any ABDC or a Scopus index journal for your publication? Didn't you think that your work worth publishing in a quality journal?
Yes, sir. I tried my level best, but I could not qualify. That is, I could say my paper did not qualify. I can say
You
that.
tried? You
Yes,
tried?
yes, I have tried.
Which journal you tried?
Sir, Francis and Taylor, and Francis and Taylor,
What is that?
and one is in the XIS's journal itself, which is due by this November. So the screening process is still on in it because it's a UGC indexed care journal. So I'm trying my best. If not Scopus, at least UGC care journals I can list myself in.
That means you are not aware about the world-class journal or globally standard journal which publishes work related to your area. That is a big, big setback. Francis and Taylor. Taylor and Francis is a publisher, not a journal. So please identify good journals, globally reputed. That is the aim of every research scholar across discipline, that my work should be globally disseminated. Then only diverse audience globally will read my work. They will start knowing how consumer behave in India or in a state or in a city like Patna and Ranchi. Otherwise, why we do research?
Yes, sir.
So please focus on those journals for publication during your post PhD time. If you see your limitations, you have jotted down 4 to 5 limitations of your study, right?
Yes, sir.
But most of the limitations is a byproduct of your choice.
Okay.
You have chosen certain things, and at the end you say that is my limitation. That cannot be. Limitation is what which is beyond your control. But most of the things was your choice. It cannot be your limitation. You say there was scarcity of time and convenience. You had taken almost a decade time to complete your thesis. What more time you require?
Yeah, it took me quite a long time, no doubt.
So that cannot be your limitation. Next is when you're talking about choice of sample. In fact, choice of sample city. You chose Patna and Ranchi, right?
Yes.
Which both the cities are similar in certain way.
It seems so, but when exploring the school angle and the teenage angle, while I was addressing it, I could find it way different and very, very different because
In
that was
comparison to other cities of the country, you will see
both
certain
irrespective of
similar.
each other and also other cities as well.
Some culturally you can say,
Yes.
and other macro and micro environmental forces you will see,
Right.
both the cities are similar in certain way. Now,
Yes.
the question is, can I generalize the findings of the study across nation? And if not, what are the bottlenecks for that?
The bottleneck basically is because these are the tier 2 and the upcoming cities. Their internet penetration in the rural area is really low, wherein in comparison to the other cities and their rural areas, for say the
It's not
south
about
cities,
internet penetration. We're talking about purchase behavior.
the purchase behavior again depends because there is more industrialization, there is more job opportunities for parents in those living areas, which they are able to provide their children with that kind of standards. Irrespective of this side, the east side, say the West Bengal, the Orissa, the Jharkhand, Bihar, although I've just covered 2, I would not mention other states because that I haven't studied. But yes, the literatures show this, that yes, these areas are lacking in infrastructural facilities as compared to the other states. Say
When my fellow expert asked you about normality test, you did it, right?
Yes, sir.
So which normality test you adopted for your study?
The chi-square alpha test has been done once the questionnaire was prepared.
Is that a normality test?
Just a second.
You said you checked
Cosh alpha,
normality of the data.
sorry, to correct myself, not the chi-square, is the Cosh alpha test.
Which one?
The Cosh alpha test. CROCH alpha test.
Talking about Cronbach alpha?
Yes, sir.
Cronbach alpha is a measure of reliability. It doesn't check normality.
Okay. So that is,
Have you checked your normality through Jacques-Barré test, Anderson-Darling test, any special test of normality you have adopted?
no.
Chi-square test is a parametric test or non-parametric test?
It's a parametric test.
Chi-square is a parametric test. थोड़ा पढ़िए. After PhD, you have to deal with certain population where you have to address this statistical thing, some kind of research methodology. This is the minimum things that is expected from a doctoral scholar after he or she graduated.
Yes, sir.
So please focus on those areas. I'm done, ma'am.
I wish Dr. Rajiv, you should be here.
Yeah, I'm here, sir.
It's really nice to meet you, even though on the online platform.
Same here, sir. I feel the same, sir.
So, any query from audience? Yes.
Madam Jaya, I think we have done very good work. In the talk of the day, like social media, online behavior, we can't think of the world these days without these two. I want to remember one thing I was looking for. What the influence of this social media on parents? How they influence the teenagers, or vice versa?
Sir, if I'm not wrong, if I can hear you clearly, the question was how do parents influence? Is it?
Speaking social media and how it influences the children. I mean, is there an influence or the vice versa also?
This has been a very interesting part of the research work where I could feel it that it was not alone. It is not a one-way traffic. It was a two-way traffic where both teenagers and parents side by side coming up in this digital era and helping each other go ahead. And there was as I mentioned that Gen Z is very high in their internet quotient, in their internet skills. So that way they help their parents go ahead with using apps and augmented reality websites, we can say, when it comes to purchasing products online. In the same way, parents with their spending structure hold back on the teenagers while it comes to their whims and fancies.
So, question was raised. Was that actually you said the age has got influence on the percentage of purchase, whatever you found out somewhere.
Yes.
Somewhere in data table you have seen it. But can you find out the correlation age with that frequency of purchase? First thing is visible or not, yes or not.
Your voice is not audible. It's a bit cracking in between.
Okay. Can you find out the correlation between the age and frequency of purchase?
Yes, that can be taken into consideration. Going ahead, small statistical tools can always be used to find out the correlation and the frequency. How are they connected? These can be taken up.
Is there any case from your analysis what will the correlation be?
I have not taken up correlation, but it's just percentage analysis and frequency distributions that I have been able to manage along with the hypothesis testing.
Anyway, I think you have done a good work, and it's learning from the pre-examiners. Also, saying that's such a key thing. I see all the best.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, Jay, you have presented very nicely. And the topic that you have taken has a long way to go. Obviously, I would say you to carry on with this topic and future also you do some work on this. Of course, the suggestions which we have got today from the external are really very valuable. And thank you so much, and I wish you good luck.
Thank you. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much.
So, Dr. Jaya Beri, we can
Yes, yes, sir.
good wishes for you. And congratulations to Supervisor Vandana ma'am.
Thank you, thank you, thank you to all the esteemed faculty members, ICFA University. Everyone involved has been very kind, and this, as Panda sir said, that it's a decade that I took, but it's been worth being associated with this university. And thank you so much for all your guidance and your enlightenment throughout this journey.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Jaya Beri, for your presentation, and I wish you congratulations. Thank you, Dr. Rajiv Panda and Dr. Asutosh, for your valuable suggestions, which will also help us in finding our future scholar. Thank you for joining with us.
Thank
Okay, ma'am, we're signing out. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir. Thank you for your work.
Thank you, Asutosh sir.
Namaskar, sir.
Thank you. We'll meet sometime. Sure.